Hi, Genies. It's Fisher. Before we get started, just a quick thank you for getting Extreme Genes to where it is today. We're on radio stations all over America, and our podcast is growing exponentially. I'm often asked, what can I do to support Extreme Genes? Well, that's easy. Become a part of our Extreme Genes Facebook community and like our page. Share the podcast with your friends. Follow us on Twitter. And most importantly, support our sponsors through links on our website. They're the best in the business. Thanks again. Now let's get on to this week's podcast.
Are you digging up the dirt on your dad? Want to find out how? Hear the latest on new family history sources and websites with interesting and fun guests and experts. Find out what other people have been learning about their ancestors. From kings to thieves, inventors to farmers, nothing that's been discovered should surprise us anymore, but it always does. Find out what we mean. Great family history stories and information are on the way now with Extreme Genes, Family History Radio, and extremegenes.com.
Grandpa stole his first buggy in 1892. I met your grandma pig slopping in 46.
Oh, every Christmas we'd visit my Uncle Fred in prison.
And welcome to Extreme Genes, America's family history show. I am Fisher, the radio root sleuth on the program where we shake your family tree and watch the nuts fall out. We've got a whole bunch of new radio stations picking up the show this week, so if you are a new listener to the show, welcome. We are here to inform, inspire, and hopefully entertain you as we talk to experts and ordinary people about the fun and challenges of discovering your family history and preserving it and sharing it. And this week we've got some great guests from the past year. The first, coming up in about 9 minutes, Steve Anderson will blow your mind with what DNA testing told him about how he and his 8 siblings came into this world. You will be telling friends about this. Then later, the daughter of a Chicago Cubs coach talks about her journey to know her late father. But right now, we head off to Syracuse, New York, to talk to our good friend, the chief genealogist for the New England Historic Genealogical Society and American Ancestors, David Allen Lambert. You're supposed to be in Boston. What are you doing there, buddy?
Well, the New York State Family History Conference, it's running through Saturday, and we're looking forward to meeting a lot of our Extreme Genes and NEHGS friends out here at the conference. So I'm just here working the booth, selling books, and shaking hands and meeting people. Hopefully I'll get some guests for us, too. I'll keep my ears peeled for some good stories.
Oh, there are always great stories to be found. You know what I'm amazed at is every week, I think, okay, where are we going to find? There's always another one, and it just leaves your jaw hanging. So I'm looking forward to that. What do you have for us today in our Family Histoire news, David?
Well, speaking of things hanging from a 200-year-old toppled tree in the Irish village of Colony, there was a 1,000-year-old skeleton found recently.
What?
Yeah.
Hanging in the tree?
Hanging in the roots of the tree.
Oh, in the roots?
Yep. Basically what happened, the tree toppled within the roots itself, the ball of the tree, where it found a skeleton of a male between about the ages of 17 to 25. And they said that he probably died somewhere between 1030 and 1200 A.D.
Wow.
And, but here's the bigger catch. His body contained injuries inflicted by some sharp blades, so he died by some mysterious means.
So we're not talking war, we're talking murder here.
Perhaps, and then buried hastily in the ground, yeah. So it wasn't in a churchyard or anything like that. And, if that tree didn't topple, who knows if they would have even thought to dig there to find such remains. So
yeah.
It's just a fluke, but an interesting one just the same. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is this interesting thing that happened about 3 weeks ago. I'm always intrigued when people are having trouble researching their ancestry, but this time it was somebody who came in because they couldn't read handwriting.
What?
A college student came in, had no idea about cursive handwriting. And I'm not talking 17th century early Latin handwriting. I'm talking deed books from the 19th century that were handwritten. And I obviously worked with him, and I'll understand a complete learning curve. But then the following day, another person came in with the same problem. And I just, I've done some investigating, and I think you'll probably see this as the case. A lot of schools are not teaching handwriting anymore.
That's actually most of the country right now.
It's
going to be a real problem for people who do research in the future. There's no doubt about it.
you think of a Rosetta Stone. I mean, I would think that, until there's an OCR program that can read handwriting and translate it all over, everybody's handwriting is different. I know that mine won't be an easy translation, that's for sure.
Well, the good news is a lot of parents are getting very upset with this, and a lot of other states now around the country are starting to teach it, if not in English, as actually a part of their arts curriculum.
And that's the best way to do it. I mean, if you're going to get it somehow, I suppose it's a lesser version of calligraphy.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That has to be it. Well, I'm out here in New York, but if anybody's out near Boston on October 3rd, Saturday, at the Sheraton Boston Hotel, we're having a Family History Day out here, and that's a full day of lectures and events, and people can go to AmericanAncestors.org to find out. So maybe some of our listeners that are tuning in have some free time on October 3rd. Come on down. Here's my tech tip. This is kind of fun. I think we've talked about Facebook and how wonderful it is to network with people and capture family stories. There's a place called mysocialbook.com on the internet, and for around $20, it will publish for you your entire year on Facebook, or multiple years if you wish. Of course, the price goes up. And what it does is it captures all your news feeds, all your photographs, everything you shared. Obviously, it doesn't show the videos, but it's a great way of preserving your social media history. And I've often thought Facebook is a great tool, but how do we preserve it for future generations? So this is a nice little tech tip. I haven't created a social book yet, probably will by sometime by the end of the year, and I'll report back. So no immediate news one way or the other, but it's going to be an interesting...
Well, isn't that great? Because you actually will be able to preserve this stuff that is right now pretty temporary.
Exactly. It's sort of like taking a year in review of your own life and recording it. Jumping out to NEHGS databases for our guest users, we're going far afield and teaming up with Family History Library to do Family Search, and we have posted Norway baptisms, marriages, and burials from the 17th century right down into the 1920s.
Nice.
And this is amazing. This has over 7.6 million baptisms, 3.8 million marriages, and 740,000 burials spanning the 17th through the 20th centuries. It's amazing.
And all available to you right in your home for the next week through NEHGS.
Right, just sign up as a guest user.
And one other thing we got to mention here, David, we are working right now, and this is so much fun. Save the date, September 13th through September 18th, 2016, leaving from Boston on a Royal Caribbean cruise.
Exactly, the first of many, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so. It's our Fall Foliage Extreme Genes cruise. David Allen Lambert from the New England Historic Genealogical Society and American Ancestors, and myself, Fisher, and we'll be doing lectures on the cruise. We're going to give people a chance to actually take a tour of the Freedom Trail in Boston and NEHGS before the cruise. We go up north to Maine and into Nova Scotia. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have more of it, of course, on our Facebook page and on our extremegenes.com website. So check it out. And if you want to be a part of it, we're going to have all the details ready for you in about another week. So this is going to be great stuff for next year. Make plans to be part of it.
Excellent. It's a year away.
All right, David, thanks so much. Have a great conference in Syracuse, New York, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Talk to you then.
Up next, a DNA story you'll be telling to everyone you know on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Well, Genies, my personal family history researcher who sends me new information day and night has sent me some incredible new records and newspaper stories lately. Hi, it's Fisher, and the name of that researcher, by the way, is myheritage.com. It's the hardest working service in genealogy, looking for records of your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes, even while you're sleeping. How does it work? MyHeritage uses hundreds of algorithms to match your ancestors to over 5 billion records from around the world, and with 97% accuracy. That means no more wasting time figuring out whether or not a match really is a match. I hear from listeners all the time who are shocked with how much information is accurately found and then passed along. And now MyHeritage will translate your ancestors' names into English or any other language you like from foreign records. In fact, it works with over 40 languages. No one else does this. Whether you're a beginner or seasoned researcher, you need MyHeritage.com.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andMe.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andMe.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andMe.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andMe.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andMe.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andMe.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andMe.com.
Hi, Genies, it's Fisher. So excited to tell you about our very first Extreme Genes Family History Cruise, September 13th through 18th, 2016. We'll be leaving out of Boston on Royal Caribbean with stops in Bar Harbor, Maine, St. John, New Brunswick, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. On days we're at sea, join me and David Allen Lambert, Chief Genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org, for lectures and roundtables on several genealogical topics. See where your patriot ancestors fought in the Revolution, or where your loyalist ancestors claimed their new homes. For pricing, go to our Extreme Genes Facebook page or visit extremegenes.com. Now is the time to make your reservations because when the cabins are gone, they're gone. Call Robin at Columbus Travel at 1-800-373-3328, extension 1010. And be sure to ask her about our special pre-cruise excursion in Boston. David and I look forward to seeing you. Welcome back to America's Family History Show, Extreme Genes, and extremegenes.com. It is Fisher here, your radio root sleuth, and once in a great while, you run across a story that just leaves your jaw on the floor. And I think this is one of those stories, and, I'm not going to give you any hint about it other than to introduce Steve Anderson, who I spoke to about it over the weekend. Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. Steve is a Minnesota boy who ran across some interesting history in his family some time back. Let's just go back to the beginning, Steve, and tell about how this all came about.
All right. About 45 years ago, my older brother was in an accident. He was crushed, needed some intense medical care, needed lots of blood transfusions. So call went out asking for blood from family members. My dad came to donate, and when he donated, the doctor said, well, sir, we appreciate your donation, but we cannot use your blood for your son because it doesn't match. And so, all these years, that whole issue came into question. Okay, if you don't belong to him, who is your dad? Fast forward about 20, 25 years, and my older sister got into a big fight with my dad and stomped over to my mom and just said, I just wish he wasn't my dad. And so my mom said, well, I've got something to tell you. He really isn't.
Oh, boy.
That kind of created some issue. So through the years, we kind of knew that there were a couple of the 9 kids in our family that were not kids of my father that raised us. My younger brother and I have always talked about, let's get some DNA testing and find out who is and who isn't.
Now, how are you guys dealing with all this? I mean, Mom tells the sister that Dad isn't your father. You're finding out that he doesn't match from blood. You skip ahead 20 years. There's a lot of families that don't last 20 years after news like that.
Well,
I mean, how did you all cope with this?
I don't know. We just did, and not only that, but we really get along. We really, after all these years, we are very close family. We keep in touch with each other on a weekly basis. We come back for reunions and love them. I don't know how we did it, but we did it.
So let's get back to this now. Your brother was thinking, we got to do some DNA. We got to find out something here.
Yeah. So he has a friend, and his friend owns a lab, a DNA lab that does paternity testing throughout the world. It's in Southern California, and he talked to him about this, and he said, hey, if you just get some DNA, you need to get some from your dad, you need to get some from your mom, and then one of you kids need to provide some DNA. I had the means to do it, so I thought, all right, I'll pay for it, and then that'll create the base, and then any of the kids in the family who want to can pay to have their own DNA tested against this standard that we've created with mom and dad.
Wow.
Well, when my dad died, my brother said, okay, this is our last chance, Steve. Dad is in the viewing room of the funeral home.
Oh, no.
So I went to the other corner of the room and created a distraction, and my brother reaches in and pulls out a handful of hair.
From your father's corpse.
Yeah. And so everything went fine after that.
Now to do that, by the way, I understand you need roots to get any DNA out of hair. There's none in the follicle itself, but it's in the roots.
Right, and we checked that to make sure that we had it.
Okay.
And then with my mom, my niece was doing some kind of research at school, and we just asked Mom, can we get a cheek swab so that we can help this niece, get some data for her, and she was fine with that. So we got it for Dad, we got it for Mom, and then I provided a cheek swab, and I knew that my younger brother and I were Dad's sons because we look like him, our mannerisms are like him.
So you were going to check out just fine.
Right. And I was fine with that. And we get the results back, and Tom's friend says, Mr. Anderson, got your results back, and you do not belong to your father.
Ooh.
Well, yeah, ooh was right. And then my brother was so shocked by this, he said, hey, I'm going to get tested. So we ended up testing him, and he doesn't belong to my father.
Okay.
So then I talked to my sister. I'm very, very close to her, and I need somebody to vent with. Eventually she says, okay, I'm getting tested. And so she gets tested, and she doesn't belong to him. And I thought, okay, we've got a faulty match here. We've got a bad sample. So,
this can't be.
Well, we found Dad's razor, and it had plenty of hair in it, and our friend in California said, listen, give me that. There's skin samples, flakes in there, and I'll use that. He did the test again, ran it again, and the results were all the same.
Oh.
So she calls another sister. She says, I can't believe that. This is impossible. I'm going to get tested. And she's not Dad's. Long story short, 9 children, 8 different fathers. Tom and I found out that we were both from the same father. Oh. And so I confront my mother and said, hey.
Now, how old is she at this point when you confronted her?
This was 3 years ago, so she was 90 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and her mind is very sharp. And so I said, Mom, listen, we've had some DNA testing done, and we found some surprises here. And, she denied it at first, but the next day she called and said, Steve, come on over, we need to talk. And we talked, and she gave me the names of all the fathers.
For each of the children, each of the 9?
Yeah. And Tom and I did one more test and found out that we are actually from the same father. But none of us 9 children were from the father that raised us.
So 9 kids, 8 fathers, 1 marriage, but none of the kids from the father in the marriage.
Correct. And, my dad never, ever said a thing about this to us kids. And I remember once getting mad at Mom for something as a kid, I don't know, and Dad just turned to me and he said, Steve, you don't ever talk to your mother like that. He says, you show respect to your mother.
Now, he obviously knew, right? Was this an arrangement because perhaps he couldn't have children?
After we heard about the 2 other siblings at first, many years ago, the joke in the family was, wouldn't it be funny if we found out Dad was sterile? Well, I don't think it's a joke anymore. I think it's pretty much what we've concluded. Because, they stayed together. They were married for 25 years and eventually did get a divorce, but not because of this, because of something else. But wow. You don't stay together for 25 years and not have children.
So you think there was an arrangement?
I don't know. If I had to conclude something, I would say there was some kind of arrangement. But what was interesting is my younger brother, Tom, who was back only about 7 or 8 years ago in our hometown. There was a fair there, and he was back for that. And my dad came up to him with an older gentleman, and he said, Tom, there's somebody here I'd like you to meet. And he introduced him, and then they walked away. And Tom thought that was so weird. until we realized now that was our father.
Wow.
That he had just been introduced to. So Dad obviously knew enough to tell this guy that, hey, do you want to see one of your sons? And brought him to introduce him to him.
All right, so here's the question, Steve, and I think the point of all this that's very important to people listening right now is I'm sure there are a lot of other folks out there dealing with family secrets. Let's talk about how you all have dealt with it. Now, everybody knows at this point, yes?
No, there's one still alive that does not know about it, and we cannot let this individual know until our mother is gone and the wife of her father is still alive. So,
okay.
No, we can't do that.
So complications, right. Do no harm, no pain
given
first, right.
Who she is, we know she will then go and confront the wife or somebody or our mother, and it just wouldn't be good.
Okay, so how's this affected all your relationships? With Mom, particularly?
Yeah, with 9 of us, there's one who won't see her anymore. There's one who just says, I'm done with her. With me, it took me about 3 months. There was an enormous sense of betrayal up front. I finally was able to put it aside. This is about 3.5 years ago. And I still call my mother every Sunday night. Others have handled it very well. Others, just think this is a fascinating story. Laugh about it, and when we get together, it's a great source of entertainment. But a couple of them are really struggling with it, and one in particular, really, he won't have anything to do with her now. So we have varying degrees all the way from, no, I'm not your son anymore, to, Mom, we all make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Not quite like this, but we all do.
Yeah. Well, has anybody reached out to half-siblings from some of the other fathers?
No. We've consciously made it a point to really not do any of this until a few more people have passed on. We just need to make sure all of the spouses of the men are gone. And even then, I think we want to be extremely careful who we reach out to.
That's right.
Because some will handle it well and some won't. I know that one of the things for me that's been a real blessing is growing up, I've always seen on my father's side, the father that raised us, which, by the way, as far as I'm concerned, he is my father, and his posterity is my posterity.
Right.
And he will always be, and I've talked with my siblings, and they all agree completely that Dad, especially given now seeing what he has done and raising us and never betraying that secret, has just risen him as far as respect. But we grew up seeing his siblings dying of cancer, and his parents both died of stomach cancer, and his grandfather died of stomach cancer. And so when I hit 50, the doctor every year ordered a colonoscopy.
Right.
When I found out about this, that was the first thing to go. I talked to him and said, hey, can we go to the 5-year checkup? And he says, we're fine on that.
Steve, unbelievable story. And I can't thank you enough for sharing it with us. I think it's of benefit to a lot of people who might be dealing with secrets like this, perhaps to learn from how you people have done so. And God bless and good luck.
Great. Thank you. I enjoyed it.
It's a story that's not over yet.
Oh, not by any means. Not by any means. Thank you, Scott.
And coming up next in 5 minutes, we'll talk to a woman from Charlotte, North Carolina, the daughter of a Chicago Cubs coach. She lost him at 3 years old, and talk to her about her journey to know her late father better. It's a riveting story on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks. Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chart Masters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartMasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chart Masters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style of genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chart Masters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chart Masters today at FamilyChartMasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chart Masters will give the greatest care to your family history.
And we are back. Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show, and ExtremeGenes.com. It is Fisher here talking with Leann Walker Young from Charlotte, North Carolina. She is the daughter of Verlon Rube Walker, the former coach of the Chicago Cubs, who passed away in 1971 when Leann was only 3 years old. And just a few years ago, 2012, she decided it's time I got to know who my dad was. And she began a search, gathering stories, as we heard in the previous segment, but also looking to find the voice of her dad. And Leann, was it frustrating to you, or were the stories fulfilling enough as you went along that you still enjoyed the journey?
I really did enjoy the journey. I try to talk about it as putting a canoe in the river and just letting the current take me. And I didn't really morose about it. I didn't try to manipulate it. I allowed it to come to me. And that has taught me a lot in life, period, the lesson of just things move really much more smoothly when I get out of the way. All I did was just be willing. And the journey built on itself. One person would give me you need to call this person. Here's their phone number.
Right.
They knew your dad. And so I would do that. And I made the commitment early on, I will follow any lead. If someone emails me and tells me to do a library research, I go there. So I did all of that. I did the footwork. And it became really exhilarating, and it energized me once I got started. And it's very exciting. It really gets to the heart of the matter, you doing your personal journey and the mission of your soul, and really finding out where you came from and the people that loved you and brought you into the world. It's so important and empowering in a lot of ways.
Yeah, well, I think so. And I think the fact is you get to know your father like you've never known him before, and suddenly he is a figure in your life more than just a shadow.
Yes, and had many layers. I wanted to know all of him. I didn't want to know just what they wanted to tell me as someone who had died. And I wanted to know it all. I thought if he had a temper, I want to know it. If he cursed somebody out, if he was mad, I wanted to know all of those things. So I brought all that to me. And the last piece of the puzzle was the voice.
Yes.
And I kept looking for that. I was very hopeful all along. I really thought I would eventually find something, but I had no idea I would find it in my own hometown. I really had no
Isn't that something?
No idea.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit now. You started the search for the audio. Obviously, you were finding the stories as a result of that, but the ultimate goal was to hear his voice. And I would imagine still is that you'd like to find more of him speaking. And I can't imagine that you're not going to have that opportunity at some point with the effort you're putting out. But
Yes.
You got coverage on ESPN. And I'm just thinking, this can't be. How can a man as public as your father not have something out there for this woman to hear?
It's true. And I have a whole group of men, I think by nature, are hunter-gatherers.
Yes.
And so where I don't like to look on eBay, I have a whole gang, a gaggle, a team of men who follow my blog, and they search eBay, and they'll go to radio shows and all this stuff and collectors organizations, and they will look for me. I have eyes and ears out there, so that's miraculous and amazing. And the Keith Oberman thing was just a watershed moment for me, because it did really put my story out there, and much more came to me as a result. And I do believe there's still something else out there, but the fact that it was the tape that my mother had put away and forgotten about in her own garage and was recorded in my own hometown, when my father asked Bobby Richardson, the Yankees second baseman, to come and speak at a church. And my father's faith was important to him, and so was Bobby Richardson, still is. And he wanted him to come and, I guess, do a testimony of his faith at the church. So that was recorded because the Yankee was coming to town.
Sure.
And that was recorded, and my mom found it on cassette. The pastor, who is in his 80s now, gave it to my mother years and years ago, and we found it on cassette, and she had it put on DVD for me, or CD, so that it would be more preserved.
What a gift. And I've heard it on YouTube. You had it there. It's got a lot of noise in it and a lot of buzz, but your dad's voice cuts through well, even though it was kind of soft. So I've kind of enhanced it a little bit here so everybody can hear what you found. It's only about a minute long. Your dad introducing Bobby Richardson at a church in Lenoir, North Carolina, back in 1969.
We're very fortunate to have with us this morning Bobby Richardson, a great second baseman for the New York Yankees for many years. I told Bobby that this was great Yankee territory, so he can feel at home. And also I'd like to introduce his daughter, Christy, sitting down here in the audience. Christy, would you stand up, please? Bobby was a great baseball player. Man, this is Yankee territory. I guess I could be here all day trying to tell all the great days he had on the baseball field. And most of you Yankee fans would already know about it. So I will not try to attempt to tell all the accomplishments that he did on the field. But Bobby has also had many great days off the field. Bobby was a great leader on and off the field. He was very active in youth groups, various religious groups. And in my lifetime, I guess Bobby is the most respected player in baseball.
Wow. What does that make you feel like when you hear that?
Really, the first couple of times I heard it, I was completely blown away. I still get a little teary-eyed when I hear it because I still want more. I want to hear him talk to me. That's kind of where it goes. That's where I go in my mind. I'm so grateful that I have that sound of his mountain accent, and he was made fun of so much for that accent and being such a Southern boy and simple man. It just really takes me right to, the heart of what I really want, which is him.
I'll bet. And you've probably played it 1,000,000 times since you found it.
Yes, I have.
And I'm sure to some extent it does speak to you.
It does. I really just am mesmerized by it, actually. It sounds, I always thought his voice would be more grovelly and low, I guess because he was an athlete.
Sure.
But the more I listen to it, it's gentle and sweet, and it matches who I've been told who he was. And I'm glad I didn't find the voice first off because I wouldn't have gone on that beautiful, beautiful journey to search it. And the journey really was the treasure. It was what I needed to do to heal my soul.
And then from this, you went on to Chicago and actually visited the hospital wing that is named after your dad. Now, what was his illness?
He died of leukemia, and upon his death, the Cubs donated money to Northwestern Hospital, and they started a wing in the hospital called the Verlon Rube Walker Leukemia Center. And it's now called the Blood Center, the Rube Walker Blood Center, because they do more than just leukemia. They really focus on these blood diseases where they have these beautiful, incredible machines that can circulate the good, healthy platelets and all that stuff and separate it all out, and you can use your own stem cells to heal your body. It's amazing.
Isn't that great?
Amazing work.
And to think that 40-some-odd years after his passing, your dad's name is on that wing and is being remembered as people go through that life-saving treatment.
Yes, that simple boy who left high school, didn't graduate high school just because he wanted to go play Major League Baseball, has this legacy of this medical facility named after him, and he would probably laugh about that. And he would be so blissed out that people get healing under his name. It's something that maybe his death went to a good cause. He would love that.
Well, it's been an amazing journey for you, Leann, and I so appreciate your taking the time to come on the show and talk to us about it, and to see that you've had such great success and fulfillment in what you've been doing.
Yes, I'm honored you asked me, and this is my favorite subject to talk about. I love it. I encourage anyone to take this journey of their own. It's a beautiful way to honor your loved ones that have passed and heal yourself.
That's a great way to put it. Perfect. Leann Walker Young from Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And coming up next, if you're looking to have your old home movies or videos digitized, what's the best way to know that your local digitizer is the real deal? It's a great listener question, and of course, Tom Perry, our preservation authority, will have the answer in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. Hi, Genies, it's Fisher. So excited to tell you about our very first Extreme Genes Family History Cruise, September 13th through 18th, 2016. We'll be leaving out of Boston on Royal Caribbean with stops in Bar Harbor, Maine, St. John, New Brunswick, and Halifax, Nova Scotia. On days we're at sea, join me and David Allen Lambert, Chief Genealogist of the New England Historic Genealogical Society and AmericanAncestors.org, for lectures and roundtables on several genealogical topics. See where your patriot ancestors fought in the Revolution, or where your loyalist ancestors claimed their new homes. For pricing, go to our Extreme Genes Facebook page or visit extremegenes.com. Now is the time to make your reservations, because when the cabins are gone, they're gone. Call Robin at Columbus Travel at 1-800-373-3328, extension 1010. And be sure to ask her about our special pre-cruise excursion in Boston. David and I look forward to seeing you.
Extreme Genes is sponsored in part by 23andMe.com, a personalized genetic service that helps you understand what your 23 pairs of chromosomes, your DNA, say about you. 23andMe.com gives you a snapshot view of your DNA with more than 60 detailed reports on your health, traits, and ancestry, plus tools to explore and compare your DNA with family and friends. 23andMe.com is the first and only genetic service available directly to you that includes reports that meet FDA standards. Here's how it works. Order your DNA kit from 23andMe.com. Provide your saliva sample from home and mail it back to a CLIA-certified lab. Then you'll be notified when your reports are ready online. You'll also receive ongoing reports as new genetic discoveries are made and as 23andMe.com is able to clear new reports through the FDA. See why more than 1 million people are experiencing their genetics with 23andMe.com. Order your DNA kit today at 23andMe.com.
Here it comes, the 6th Annual Roots Tech Conference in Salt Lake City, Utah, February 3rd through 6, 2016, at the Salt Palace Convention Center. The conference, hosted by Family Search International, is the largest family history and technology conference in the world. This year's theme will be celebrating families across generations. It's the perfect place to be inspired to discover, preserve, and share family connections and stories across generations, past, present, and future. At Roots Tech, you'll find some 200 engaging classes with experts from all over the world. Enjoy daily sessions with well-known keynote speakers and learn all about the new tools available to help you in your journey in the massive exhibition hall. Passes start at $29. For more information and to register, visit rootstech.org. Hope to see you February 3rd through 6 in Salt Lake City, Utah.
And we are back once again on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. I am Fisher, the radio root sleuth, with Tom Perry from TMCplace.com. He's our preservation authority. He answers your questions about what you do to make sure you don't lose your precious audio, your video, your photographs, your home movies. There's so much going on and so much to talk about. And Tom, this is a really interesting question that we got from Jack Smith. He's in Indianapolis, Indiana. And he's saying, I'm going to be going to a local outlet soon to get my materials transferred, my old home videos. He said, what questions should I ask to know that these people are going to do this right?
That's a wonderful question, because there's so many people out there, whether you're buying a diamond ring or having your videotapes transferred. How do I know that this guy's legit? Because I know nothing about the industry, so I don't know what to look for. One of the things you want to talk to the people about is what kind of equipment that they use. You don't need brand names. It's just how do you transfer my videotape to a DVD or a Blu-ray or to a hard drive? Do I need to bring in my camcorder? Do I just bring in my tapes? If I have the old VHS-Cs, do I need an adapter? What do I need to do? If you're going to a reputable place, you won't need your camera. You won't need your adapter. They will have all that kind of equipment. And one thing you want to remember...
Even the old ones?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Anybody that's worth their weight in salt has to be able to already have VHS-C transfer machines. If they don't have them, it's like, what are they doing? Do they not do enough? Do they know what they're doing? I'd be very, very skeptical about anybody who says, oh, no, you need to bring in your camera. The only situation where that differs is sometimes a camera gets shaken and it records a little bit off track, and it will play in your camera fine. However, it won't play even on our equipment, which we have the best equipment you can buy because our stuff is set to a certain standard, so you might get wavy lines and things like this. But in this situation where it's recorded on a bad camera, then you would want to bring in your camera and tie it into our system.
And how would you know that your camera's bad or the video's bad?
Well, generally, you probably would not know if you don't have a way to play it. So what I would do is when you take your tape in, if it comes back looking funky or something, then you're going to call them and say, hey, why does my tape look like this? It plays my camcorder. And if they say, well, I don't know, well, you probably shouldn't have gone to that place. Because what we generally like to do is if we see that situation, we can generally tell, and we will call you and say, do you still have your camcorder? Have you had it repaired since? Because if you've had your camcorder repaired since you recorded your tape offline, it's not going to do any good because now your camera's back to where it should have been. So that's the best thing. Find out what you need to bring in, what they have. And another thing, which I take a lot of heat on this, but this is my opinion, the best way to transfer analog to digital is through a machine that's made specifically to transfer VHS-C, VHS, high 8.8 to a DVD or a Blu-ray or a hard drive. You can buy these absolute kick-butt Apples and even some PCs that are amazing on what they do. And so people get these little squawk boxes they pay less than $100 for.
Oh.
And they plug their camcorder into it and then plug that into a computer. A computer is not a device to turn analog into digital. So you have this $1,000 Apple computer that's just absolutely incredible. And then you have this stupid little piece of $100 equipment that's in the middle of it. You're not going to get good transfers. You need to find a person that has equipment that's specialized to transfer different media to hard drive in real time, Blu-ray, hard drive, whatever you're going to do. Because if you don't, you're going to get all kinds of problems. In audio, it's not so much because the bandwidth of audio is so much smaller. When you get into video, you're doing tons of stuff, terabytes, gigabytes of stuff. And so when you're transferring, if there's a littlest glitch, if the computer just pauses for a fraction of a second, you might not notice it until you're looking at your DVD. You see these little artifacts that flash and stop and freeze, and it will drive you nuts because it's visual, and most people are visual people. So that's why you want to stay away from the computer way if you can. So I would really stay away from people that are transferring through their computer versus having the hardware. Right after the break, I'll give you some more questions that you can ask your dealer where you want to get your memories preserved.
All right, coming up in 3 minutes on Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show.
Looking for an easy way to show off your family history and share it with your family? Family Chartmasters offers beautiful custom pedigree art pieces and inexpensive family reunion draft charts in any design or size that fits your needs. With a free consultation at FamilyChartmasters.com, you can get started creating a new family masterpiece. Family Chartmasters has over 11 years of experience in creating and printing family charts. They can print any style genealogy chart from any genealogy file and can create exactly what you're looking for. You'll work with a specialized and talented consultant whose goal is to make you happy. Decorative charts make fantastic gifts for all occasions. And with Family Chartmasters' option of ordering duplicate charts at half price along with your original purchase at full price, you can afford to give a family heirloom to each member of your family. Contact Family Chartmasters today at FamilyChartmasters.com for your free consultation. Family Chartmasters will give the greatest care to your family history.
When was the last time you heard your grandmother's voice or saw your family enjoying life back in the 1950s or 60s? If the reason is you haven't known what to do with your old recordings, videos, and films, here's your answer. The Multimedia Center in Salt Lake City.
We brought in a video project to the Multimedia Center, and overnight they duplicated it to DVD so we could meet our deadline.
The Multimedia Center, 2870 East, 3300 South, Salt Lake City. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. Call 801-483-1717 or go to transferduplication.com.
Scientific studies have proven that youth who know even a little bit about their family history perform better academically and have a greater sense of personal confidence and stability. Genealogy is its own incredible superpower that arms our children with super strength. But how do you get your child or grandchild interested in studying their family history? That kind of stuff is just for grandmas, right? Not anymore. ZapTheGrandmaGap.com leaps the generation gap in a single bound. Author Janet Havorka provides you with useful and timely advice on helping the young people in your life become engaged in their own family history. Janet has an entire collection of books to inspire the young and the young at heart in fun, interactive ways. She also offers creative tips and advice on her blog and in her free weekly newsletter. Stop by ZapTheGrandmaGap.com today to sign up for Janet's free email newsletter with 52 weeks of easy tips, free downloads, and order your set of resource books and workbooks.
And we are back. Final segment of Extreme Genes, America's Family History Show. I am Fisher, the Radio Root Sleuth, with Tom Perry from TMCplace.com. And we're talking about this great question about how do you know that someone is going to do a great job transferring your old family videos? And because there are so many different types of old videos, as we've talked about, Tom. So what questions to ask? And you've given some great answers on that already. What else should they be concerned with?
You know, I would ask the people how long they've been in business, how long they've been in this industry. Maybe they've only been transferring tapes for 5 years, but yet maybe they've been videographer for 20 years.
Sure.
And so they've got the experience. There's people out there, and I am not exaggerating. We hear horror stories about this all the time. They go to a place like Goodwill, buy some old VCRs, buy some old camcorders, hook them up and say, hey, you know, they hang the shingle that says, hey, I can transfer your audio, video, and film. They know nothing about cleaning their machines. They know nothing about getting mold spores from one person's tape, transfer them to everybody else's tape. You got to be careful. You want to ask the questions. Ask them, how do you upkeep your equipment? What's your experience on that? What do you use?
Well, I want to go back to the mold spores there, because you've mentioned this before.
Oh, yeah.
Is this still pretty common, and where?
Oh, it is, especially places that are high humidity like Florida.
Alabama.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Not
so much in Arizona because it's so dry. And people that have moved around, these tapes may have been in boxes for 10, 15, 20 years, and there could be rodent damage. There could be all kinds of stuff. And I don't mean to be gross, but you don't want to be running a tape with rodent pee through your VCR and then put somebody else's nice clean tape in there and do the same thing. It's nasty. And I mean, we know this stuff. If we see something, we know about it. And I've had situations where something snuck in that we didn't catch. We didn't see the mold spores or whatever. There's no white dots. But when we started running it, we knew exactly what was going on. And so we threw the VCR away. We just didn't use it anymore. Oh, yeah. Because when they get really, really bad, there's no way you're going to be able to clean them. We clean all of ours by hand. They make good quality tape cleaners. They're kind of hard to find nowadays, but you can get them to run through your machine. We don't do that. We take our machines apart. We clean all the rubber parts, all the metal parts with 90% isopropyl alcohol. We use the right kind of tip cleaners and things like that. We're always cleaning our machine because we don't want somebody else's tapes, even though they think, oh, it's on DVD now. I don't care. Well, you don't know. Something down the road could happen to your DVD, and you go, boy, I'm glad I still have that tape. I can retransfer it again. We've had people that have taken tapes into the big box stores that they get the DVD back and they look at it and say, this isn't good. And they ask the big box store, we won't mention names, oh, well, no, we did the best we can. We're professionals at this. They bring the same tape into us. We run it and they go, oh, now this is how it plays on our VCR. You know, we guarantee our work. If something's wrong with the tape, we'll do the very best we can. A lot of the big box stores won't be able to do that. And that's a good thing, too. If you ever take your tape into a place to get it transferred and they say there's all these things wrong with your tape, da-da-da-da-da-da, you can play it, or you're pretty sure there's not a problem, send it to us. Let us try it. We get tapes all the time that are rejected from the big box stores. But these guys are an assembly line. All they're doing is going through, oh, this tape's not working. Let's pull it out. Let's pull it out. And we can transfer it.
And you got a lot of young kids often working in these stores. They're not specialists specialists in this material.
Exactly. It's a 9-to-5 job for them, if even that, or it's a summer job. But we take the time to go through the whole tape, find out if we can transfer it, and we do. And it makes me wonder how many other tapes out there that these big box stores reject that people threw away that we could have transferred for them.
So bottom line is, Tom, you got to make sure you're working with reputable, experienced people, right?
Exactly. If they don't answer your questions, then go to someplace else. Check with your local guys. If you don't feel comfortable with them, write us a letter at asktom@tmcplace.com, and I'll try to help you. If you can't get anybody in your area, send them to one of our stores. We're more than happy to help you.
All right. We'll see you again next week.
Sounds good. See you then, bud.
That is it for this week, and thanks once again to Steve Anderson for sharing with us the wild tale of what DNA testing told him about his family, including his 8 siblings. He has dealt with the shock well. Also to Leann Walker Young for telling us about her journey to learn more about the father she lost when she was just 3 years old, a coach for the Chicago Cubs. Join us on Facebook this week at extremegenes.com. Talk to you again next week. And remember, as far as everyone knows, we're a nice, normal family.